All right. Welcome everyone to this exciting episode of Apex Hours for Students. Today is going to be episode 9, and we're going to be scratching the surface and trying to understand a little bit more about how the security model works in Salesforce. Yesterday we talked about what are the profiles and what are the permissions and how can you really provide them to your Salesforce users. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive and understanding how you can give access to records within Salesforce and how different users can can have access to different records within the same object, right? And a lot more details around that. So, uh, my name is Jigar Shah, and I'm the co-founder for Apex Hours for Students, Salesforce Apex Hours, and path2code.com. For people joining us, just today and have not been a part of the previous episodes, you can go to apexhours.com, and we have a YouTube channel with the same name where you can refer to the recordings of our previous sessions. Without any further delay, I'm going to hand it over to Purushottam. Purushottam, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Jigar. Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another episode. I am Purushottam, and I am a global community speaker. I've been a part of different community events held in India. Also, I'm a co-leader of the Pune Salesforce developer community and help the Pune community for the content and strategy. You can find me on my Twitter, that is Baigade Puru. Also on my LinkedIn, that is Purushottam Baigade. So let's start with the today's session. So today we are going to see what is a sharing setting and OWD. Then we are going to see what is a record ownership. We are going to see what is a record sharing, and then we'll see in a demo that how to control the access for object role fields. So yesterday, so before we jump on, these are the few housekeeping rules. Mute your mic so that it will help everyone to understand the session. And of course, if you have any questions, please post your question in a chat window. Definitely we'll answer to those over there, and we are going to address that at the end of the session when we have the Q&A session. Okay, so before we start with the OWD, so let's see what we have learned yesterday. So yesterday we saw about profiles and the permission set, how we can control the accessibility of the object and the fields using the profile and the permission set. And today we are typically going to concentrate on how we are going to control security for the record. Okay, so very first thing is about the OWD. So OWD is nothing but the org-wide default setting, right? So org-wide default setting are the baseline setting for the Salesforce, who specifies which record can be addressed by which user, right? So typically the OWD having private, public read only, public read write, and public read write and transfer permissions. So which we'll see in a demo how we can enable the OWD for any particular object. Okay, so let's go to demo and see how we can set up the OWD. Let me switch back to my Salesforce all. Okay, here we go. Okay, so once you go to the Salesforce, you need to go to the setup. Okay.
So Purushottam, I'm still seeing your slide deck. I can't see your Salesforce instance.
Okay, let me new share. Are you able to see it now?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so to set up OWD, you need to go to the setup. From the setup, click on Home tab. You will see the several options available for the setting up. Then in a search box, just type sharing setting. So under the security tab, you can get the sharing setting option. Click on a sharing setting. Okay. Yep. So here you can see the or by default setting, right? So you can see the object name, okay, the default internal access for that object, whether it's a public, whether it's a public read only, public read write, or public read write transfer. You can see the default external access. So external access is basically used to give the access for the community users, right? And then there is a checkbox you are seeing grant access using hierarchy. So when we say the hierarchy, the roles comes in a picture. So when you check this checkbox, you tell the Salesforce that okay, the person who is higher in my role hierarchy, he should able to see my records like this. So let's go and set up the OWD for account object. Okay. So what you need to do first. So you can click on edit. Yeah. So you can see all the our default option is enabled for you, right? So go for the contact. So the contact, you can see I have the private option, I have private read only, and I have private read write. Also, on the right hand side, next to the contact, you can see it's controlled by the parent, right? So when we say the control by the parent, it means the sharing setting, okay, or what default sharing setting set up for your parent object are going to use for your child object as well, right? So if your parent object having a sharing setting as a private, then definitely your child object also going to have this setting as a private. So let's go ahead and click on account. Let's say I wanted to keep this as a private. Okay, click on a private, click OK. Okay, click on the same. Right here. So you can see it will take some time to update your setting. So let's see if it is updated. Just refresh my page. Okay, no, still not yet. It will take some time. So basically when you set up sharing rules or when you update any or what defaults, Salesforce runs some batch on behind the scene and update the record. So it will take some time. So sometimes you can get this result in a fraction of seconds or a minute, or sometimes it will take some 30-40 minutes as well. So we'll just see and it is updated. Okay, still a public private, but on a case object we can see it's already a private, so we can go ahead and check with the case object. So whenever we say it's a private, so that means the owner of the record is only able to see the record and perform read, update, or delete operation. Again, the checkbox are not editable for a standard object, the grant access using hierarchy. It's only editable for your custom objects. So you cannot edit this checkbox for the standard object. So let's say, okay, it's still there. So let me go ahead and create a case. The case is already set up as a private, so we are going to use the case object over here. Okay, click on a new. So let's say Amazon. Case origin is web. the okay. Okay. Um, Let me put the test. This is a test. Okay. Click on the save. So it will create a case for us. Okay. So case is created, right? So if you go and if you see the owner is Apex app, right? The case number is 1027. So the owner is able to see this case. If you go and log in with the another user, then that user is not supposed to see that case. Okay, let me log in with sales. Right, so you're not able to see that case over here because the OR word default for the case is a private, so only the record owner is able to see that case. Okay, so let's go back to our slide. So this is how we set up OR word default. You can either set up as a private, you can either set up it as a public read only, or you can either set up as a public read write. Basis on what type of setting you have provided, the user is able to perform the actions. So as we say, what is the record ownership? So basically record ownership, nothing but the user who owns the record, right? The user who owns the record, that user is have the full access for that record. He can read, write, delete, or transfer. The ownership, when we say the ownership, the record is owned by either by user or by group of user. That is a queue. So basically, if you if you see this triangle, so how the record sharing basically works, right? So if you go from bottom to top, so profile and permission have the more precision over the or wide defaults, right? So as you go on upside, the access is going wider, right? So the profile and permission set having the more precision, then it comes with the org default, which we recently saw. Then it comes with the role hierarchy. So role hierarchy is nothing but when we give the access, when we check that checkbox, share using a role hierarchy, that means we allowing the person who is higher in a role hierarchy should able to access that record. Okay, based on the permission which of course the based on the permission which we have brought to them. Then it comes to the sharing rule. We are going to see how to set up the sharing rule, and then there is a manual sharing. So sharing rule is nothing but where you specify the rule, you specify the criteria, and the record is get shared based on that criteria when the rule satisfy, right? Uh, then the manual sharing is also there. So manual sharing is nothing but the user, if he has a permission to share the record, then he can share that record privately to any other user or the group of the users, or of course to the role as well. So this is how the record sharing works in a Salesforce. So let's see how we can set up this. So let me first log out from this user so that I can log in back to my admin. Okay. Sorry. So for the OR by default, we already for the cases we already set up OR by as a private. So let's go back and set up a sharing rule for the cases. So for that, again, I need to go back to the sharing setting. So either you can scroll down, or you can select the simply that object from the drop down. Yep. And here you can see the cases and what is or what default sharing is a private, right? It's a grant using role hierarchy is also available, and there is a no case sharing rule. So let's go ahead and create the sharing rule for it. So let's go ahead and okay, so based on the criteria, so let's see what criteria we can set up. If the status is new, we are going to share that case with the certain users. Okay, we go to the status, first to new. So on the very first step, we given the name and the label for the rule, right? In the second option, there are the two options available. One is based on the record owner, or you wanted to set up a specific criteria for the rule. Then the third step is select which records to be shared, right? So you need to specify the criteria. Based on this criteria, the record is get filtered out. And in the fourth step, you mention to whom, with whom you wanted to share this record. So there are the three options available. One is a public group, another is a role, and the next is a role and subordinates. So what we're going to do, so we are going to create one public group and we'll share that case with that public group. So before we sharing the rule, let me go back to the public groups and create a group for you. In a type, you can type in a search box of the public groups. Yeah. Okay. Click on a new. Okay. So you need to give the label to the group. So okay, let me put the. So from the drop down, you can select the either you can select the existing public group, you can select the roles, you can select from the subordinate, and you can select it from the users. In many cases, you're having the thousands of users in your row, so you can use this search box to filter out the records. So let me share this record with Purushottam. So I can select the user and add it to selected members. Then there is a dedicated administrator group as well, which you can set up. But right now there is no administrator group. Then we can keep it as blank. Click on save, and your group is ready, right? So let's go back to our sharing setting. Now we are going to use this group in case sharing rule. Okay. Case sharing rule based on the criteria. I'm going to select the status equals to new. Okay. And from this option, I'm going to select the public group, that is tier 1. And I can give either read-only access to the team, or I can give the read and write option. You can say, you can see the pop-up saying that the recalculation of the sharing access will continue in the background, and you will receive the email notification once it is complete. So as rightly I mentioned, so whenever you set up any sharing rule or you update the Oracle default, Salesforce runs a batch behind the scene and it will take some time. Click on OK. So rule is set up. Let's check it's already active or Salesforce has confirmed. So let me go back to the users. So we have shared that with one user, right? Okay, here are the list of the user. So we have shared that with the one team, and that team having a user as a Purushottam. So let me log in with that user and see if the case is visible to me or not. Okay, it is login as a user. Wait for some time. It's taking more than expected. Okay. Yep. So we have logged in as another user. Let's go to the cases. Right here. This was a case which we had created by the another user, and now because we have activated the sharing rule on the cases, so it's a private, but we have shared that case with the particular set of users. So that's why you're able to see that case over here. And as I rightly mentioned, you have the read write option, so you can go ahead and you can edit the case as well. So I can go ahead and say, yep. So the user is able to perform the all the actions as per the sharing settings we have set up. So let's go back to the admin. Okay. Go back to the sharing setting. So here you can see uh, the rule which we have set up, and we have shared that case with the group with the read and write access. If in future you edit this criteria or you edit this rule, um, the sharing setting is not automatically get applicable. What you need to do, you need to go ahead and click on a recalculate. When you click on a recalculate, it is going to evaluate that rule and update the records accordingly. So that is a key thing as admin. We need to make sure that whenever we change any existing sharing setting or the rule, you must hit onto the recalculate, and definitely it will take some time. So basis on the records you have in that particular object, you can wisely use this option. So mainly advise to use this option when when there is a downtime in the system and there are no more users are using the system. Okay. So this is how we saw how we can set up the sharing rule, set up the sharing or by default, how we can set up the sharing rule. There is also another option where we can manually share the record, right? So how we can share the record manually? So if you click on org by default, right? So there is an option called manual user record sharing, right? You need to enable this option. Once you enable this option, then user is able to share the record manually. So if I go back and make sure for this, your org by default is supposed to be a private for that particular object. So let's go to case again. This case So you can see this option is not available here because you are in a Lightning XP. So manual sharing option is only available in Classic. So what you need to do, if you want to share that record manually, switch to the Classic. Right. Recent time you can find the case. Yeah. Here is the button which help you to share that record manually with any user. So what we can do, we can click on a sharing, right? So you can see the current, what is the current sharing is there. So the user is Apex R speaker, he is the owner of that case. That's why he's having the full access. Where the uh, another public group is there, that's the tier one team is having the read and write access. The reason is case sharing rule, right? And if you want to have add another user manually, so click on add. Similarly, you can see the list of the public groups. Either you can select the public group, you can select the roles, or you can select the roles and subordinate, or you can select the users. Click on a user, right? So here, if I wanted to share this record with the sales user, is a particular user, then I can select that user. I can give the access only, read only access. So, and click on save, right? Now the sales users are having the read only access, and you can see the region also populated as a manual sharing. So what we can do, let's switch back to our Lightning. So here is the option where from which you can switch back to the Lightning. Uh, we are going to log into the sales user to see if we are able to see that record or not. So here, users, okay, it will take some time. Click on the users. Okay, so you can see all the lists, and we have shared this record with the sales user. Let's log in with this user. Okay, let's go to the cases and see all open cases. Yep, here you go. So now you can see this record, though you're not a owner, uh, you're not a record owner, and you're not you're not a part of that team which has the sharing access, right? So let's go back to admin. So this is how we have set up our by default. We have set up a sharing rule. We see how we can share the record manually, right? So let's go back and go to the mini project which we have. So what we in mini project, what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to set awkward default as a private for the invoice object. So basically, before we jump onto the mini project, let me give the brief about what mini project exactly. So in entire series, we are working on a mini project, and in each session, we are taking a piece of that mini project which is relevant to that particular episode, right? So for the today's, there are the two things we are supposed to do from that mini project. So first thing, we need to set up our word default as a private for the invoice object, the invoice object which we had created in second episode, right? So let me go back to Salesforce. So let me search for sharing setting. Okay, right here. down to invoice. Yep, here is the invoice. So you can see the current option is set as a public read, right? The external so public read and grant using a role hierarchy. So click on edit, right? Here is the invoice object. What you need to do, it's a private, right? Mail sharing is also available. Click on the save. So as I mentioned, it will take some time. Just wait for some time. Okay, so here we go. So now we can see the invoice has been updated to the private, right? So this is the first step we have done. Then the next step is we need to create a sharing rule, okay, which allows to share the record with the sales rep, okay, from the country India. Okay, so basically we are setting a sharing rule and sharing that case with the sales team who is from the India location, right? So basically we are segregating the invoices from, if the invoice is generated from the India location, it gets shared with the Indian sales team, or if the invoices get generated from the US, then it's supposed to be get shared with the US sales team. Okay, so let's go back, and on the same screen, there is no invoice sharing rule, right? So what we can do, we can go ahead. So before the sharing rule, we need to create one group, right? Because we can share the record with a particular group. So let's go ahead and create a public group for the Indian sales team. Let me name it as a Apex sales team. Okay, I can add the users. Okay, here are the three users from this team. Click on a save. Right. So we are going to use this Apex sales team group in our sharing setting. Let's go back. Okay. Here, let me select the invoice object. So we will filter out all the other option. Great. And here you can see the option for the setting of the sharing rules. Click on this. Back. Okay. Based on criteria. Okay. So here I'm going to, or I can select the record owner as well, right? So let's say if let me see if we have any field that we can use to let me go back to the invoice. Let me check the invoice object first. which field we can use. So let me pull up the country over here. Let me create a new field. Let me say so formula field. Let me check as a text. So basically what we are going to do, we are going to pull out the country from the owner of the invoice onto the invoice, and we are going to use this field in our sharing setting. So invoice, I'm going to select owner and country. Okay. This field is done. Let's go and create one invoice record. Let me select some dummy data. So you can see the invoice has been created and the invoice country is India. So now we are going to use this field in criteria. Okay, let me refresh this page so that the newly created field will be available in a drop down. So apart from our sharing rule, so based on the criteria, we are going to see, okay, strange, I'm not able to see that field. Okay, let me change the criteria. Due date is less than. Let me share the status. If the invoice is open, okay, this is a criteria. I'm not sure why I'm not able to see that field over here, but for the sake of a demo, I'm going to change the field. We are going to use the status field, and if the status of invoice is open, then we are going to share that with another team, right? So we are going to share this with Apex Sales team with the read and write access. Click on the save. So invoice has been set up. Let's go to the users. So sales is a one of from that team, right? So we can log into the sales. Okay. Let's go back. I guess the rule is not yet executed. That's why we are not able to see it. Let's wait for some time. Meanwhile, I'll just cross check again the users from that team. So the group. Sales team. Yeah, I can log in with the push. So my bad. The sales user was not a part of that team. So Purushottam and admin Apex and the Jigar are the part of that team. So we need to log in any of these users. So, so let me log in with admin Apex. Yeah. And we are here on invoices. Okay. Yeah. And invoices, you can see all the invoices with the open status. You can see those here, right? So we can go ahead and see, right? So you can see all the records which with the status as open, those are get shared with this record, with this user, right? If you go all invoices again, so the newly created invoice. Okay. This was created by the ApexR, but you are able to see this because this record is get shared with you through a record sharing rule. So this is how definitely generally we use the sharing tool in real life business. We have the different teams from the different location, and they're working on a different geography, right? So basically, if the case is, so let's talk about the case, right? So if the case is get raised from the APAC region and you have the team who can support in the APAC region, then you set up a rule that automatically this case should get assigned to a team from the APAC so that they can help your customers in their time zone, right? So yeah, this is how generally we use the record sharing. Uh, we keep the records private so that the no one can see each other records, right? So very important thing, if you are setting in the community, then make sure your OWD default for the contact is a private. So in the future when the community user logged into the system, then he can see only his record, not the other community members record. So that's something you need to keep in your mind when you are working with the community and the sharing rules. So here are the some trailhead models we have to try out these things. There is a data security model, there is a protect your data in Salesforce, and how you can keep your secret data in your recruiting app, right? You can go ahead and try out these trailhead models. And with this, we can open with the questions.
So, Purushottam, thank you for that wonderful session. I do see that we have a few questions. I think one of the first questions that came in was about delegated users. So, if you can, help us understand what are delegated users. Uh,
So basically, yeah. So basically, delegate users are the team. So whenever that particular is not available, you can delegate that operation for the particular user. So on behalf of that user, the delegated user can perform a required operation on that particular record.
okay. Um, The next question I think is around. You also wanted to know about how case teams or account teams can really affect the sharing or the access to the record. So if you can share some light on that, Purushottam, that'd be great.
Okay. Um, can you just elaborate this a little more?
Yeah, so usually case teams are basically a group of people from the support side, right?
Right.
Who together work on a case, and it's basically a group of people that work together to solve a case, right?
Mhm.
Now, with assignment rules, you can ensure that these teams can be assigned based on a certain criteria.
Correct.
However, these teams get access to the record. So the assignment of teams to a certain case record can also affect the record sharing. So I just wanted you to share that with the audience and show how you can set up case teams and simply just walk them through a little bit of that. That will help them understand the security model better.
Okay.
So there are case team roles. Okay.
So from the setup, you can find the case team roles over here. Okay. So you can set up a new case team role, right? Uh, let's say support member. Okay, the case access. So here you can say what is the access for that member. It's a private, read only, or read write, right? So let's me. So also you can take the checkbox called as a visual to custom portal. So if the case is getting raised from your customer portal, your customer is raising case. If this option is available for him, so he is able to see that case and he is able to see the progress on the case from the portal. Okay. Sorry. We go back to case assignment rules, right? So there is already a rule saying standard, or maybe we can go ahead and set up a new rule. Say the rule is active, right? Because the rule is active. uh, Sorry. Right. So here you can specify the order, okay, enter order to match this case. So it's one, okay. You see the criteria. So basis on the case origin or the owner, I can assign the case. Let me. Okay. So here you can select the user to whom you want to assign. And here also you can optional. There is optional at where you can define the case team, right? Okay, this is for the predefined case team.
You need to define the case, a predefined case team from the case setting.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so just let me save this and
there is an option called predefined case team. Under the case team role, there is a predefined case team.
right. Okay.
So here is the option, like we can define the predefined teams, and also this option is also available on the page layout. We can manually select and add any particular user in our team.
Okay. Click on save. So predefined case is ready. Go back to the case assignment rule and let me assign this case team. Yeah. So let's find the cases. So now we need to create the case so that it will get assigned to the support team members. Let me just put some other required information. Let's say so now this case is assigned to a user. So
And while getting this, I guess you forget to check there is a checkbox in the bottom of the page that's called execute active assignment rule. So can you try to create a new case, Pushottam?
okay, yep,
There's a checkbox, then only rule will be execute. Otherwise, by default, it will be not execute. Yeah. So if you see this page at the end of,
yes.
yeah. So this is the checkbox we need to check. Yeah.
Let me put it now as a test. So here is the case is assigned to the case team, right? So this support member can access the case. So let me log into the support member. So now you can see the owner of the case is changed to the owner from the team member. So let me go back to the user. This was the case which was. And as this case is shared with this user and case owner is the particular user, so that we're having the read and write operation, we specify in a case assignment rule, right? So that the user is able to go ahead and perform the appropriate operations on this case. And that's right, we had the read and write operation, so this user can perform operation. He can update the case. You can see the status of the case has been updated. If the permission is just for the read only, then the user is only able to read this details of this case, but not able to perform any action. So Jigar, is that
Yeah, I think that gives a fair understanding of case and case teams. Similarly, just to add to what Purushottam just explained about case teams, you also have something called as account teams. They operate exactly in the same way, right? And account teams basically are a group of people who help maintain the relationship with an account. Usually, they would be a combination of sales team members and some members from the management or the leadership team who want to maintain a relationship with a particular account. So that's where an account team kind of comes in. Okay. So yeah, I think that addresses the case and case teams question. Um,
And yeah, Jigar, Amit this side. I
yeah,
just want to add one more point here. That's a grant role hierarchies option. So Pushottam, can you show that option into the sharing rule in the OWD?
yeah? Just a second. Let me log out from this user.
Would you like to explain that one, or you want me to explain?
Yeah, you can go ahead. No problem.
Yeah. So can you open that one? So there is
Yes.
another option while setting the sharing rule. So we have an option called grant hierarchical access. So can you open that one?
Yes. Just a second. Let me open it. Yep.
Yeah. So here you can see there is an option called grant access using the hierarchy. So in that case, what will be happen? Like by default, if you set up the case sharing setting as a private, then only that particular owner will be able to see that record. Or if you have any sharing rule, they will be able to see the record. But if you check this particular checkbox, it means if I'm the user who create the case, I'm able to see that record, or this is assigned to me, I can see. But if I will check this option, who all are above to my role hierarchy, they will also able to see my record. It means like if I set up my manager and all, so they can also see my record. So it will be work based on the hierarchy. So peer will be not able to see each other record. So suppose me and Jigar both are the sales rep, we will not able to see each other record. But our manager, suppose Pushottam is our manager in the role hierarchy. So Pushottam will able to see my record as well as Jigar record. But me and Jigar will be not able to see each other record because we are sibling or peers. But who all are above to our role hierarchy, they can see our records. So that is the use of this particular checkbox.
Yes, and just to add on what Amit has mentioned, so you can only edit this checkbox for the custom object. For the standard object, you cannot edit this option. By default, it's enabled for all the standard object.
Yeah.
Purushottam, you might want to just quickly open up the roles page and just show everyone, what a role hierarchy looks like, so that they can relate to what Amit said just a few minutes ago.
Yeah. So this is an important concept as well, because in the role hierarchy, whatever the role hierarchy we have, and whatever the role you set up on particular user, it will be work accordingly. So
Yep.
can you expand any role here?
Yeah. So I have created a custom role called the CTO, and then there is IT team who is reporting the CTO.
So it's mean if suppose me and Jigar is working on the IT, our role is IT. Then if I created any record, then Jigar will be not able to see my record, and even I will not able to see Jigar record if the sharing rule is private. But the CTO will be able to see Jigar record as well as Amit record here.
Yep. So let me just show the demo of this. Let me assign this role to any of the user. So I guess, yeah, Apex admin is already having the role as a IT. Okay, and okay, the Purushottam is having the CTO. So, and another user, let me go to the
This
sales.
mean like
Sorry, Mithil, you are saying something.
I'm fine. You just need to set up the role hierarchy accordingly. It will work. Yep.
So we can see there are the two users with the role as IT. So they are not able to see each other case, but the CTO is able to see all the cases from both the roles. So let me log in with any of the user. Okay. So now this case is not supposed to visible to another user. So let's see if we are able to see that. Log out and log into the another IT user. Okay, here is I. Oh, sorry, click on the same profile. Okay, probably he's seeing because his profile is a system admin. I need to change his profile.
So yeah, so this is very interesting thing like to explain here. Like if you set up any role hierarchy in anything, but profile will be override your sharing setting. So if like this user is able to see that particular record because maybe he has some extra permission on his profile level. There might be possibility he have a view all level access or he have a modify all access on the profile level. That is why this particular user is able to access this particular record.
Right.
And just to add to what Amit and Purushottam just demoed, so one of the key, very interesting aspects of Salesforce is whenever a user exists in Salesforce, a profile is mandatory, which means that a user always needs to have a profile, but he may or may not have a role. So if you go and see your record, user record, roles are optional. You may or may not assign a role. So I will leave you with some food for thought, and going back and retrospecting, trying to see, get your hands dirty to see that what happens to a user if he doesn't really have a role assigned to him. What records does he see? Okay, so that's more like an assignment that I'd like to leave you with for the day. But yeah, that's a very interesting aspect that you might want to explore on the role hierarchy side.
Here is also one more important question like people used to ask in interview. That is, what is the difference between profile and role? Jigar, would you like to answer this question?
Oh yeah, brings me back to the good old days. So yeah, I mean, there are some vital differences between a profile and a role. Okay, so I'll probably repeat some of the things that Purushottam may have said. So if you think about profiles, right? Profiles generally. So think of a table, right? A table in a database, right? Uh, or maybe a spreadsheet in a workbook, right? The columns or the access to that particular spreadsheet or the columns in that particular table are controlled, which is nothing but fields, right? Are controlled by profile level access. Okay, so that is, and the CRUD permissions. So create, read, update, delete. They are generally controlled by profiles. But if you really talk about roles, uh, you know, roles really control the access to the records within within a table. So think of the table, the access to the table itself and the access to the columns is controlled by the profile, and access to the records within that table is controlled by roles. And an easier way, I'll just give you a very quick tip to remember this is R for roles and R for records. So you can always remember this, that roles control record level access. Okay. So this is one of the key difference. Second difference, of course, is profiles are mandatory on for a user versus roles are not mandatory or they're mostly optional. But ideally, it is a good idea to give roles because they control and govern the record level access in your Salesforce instance. So these are some of the key differences that I can really think of or surface at the top of my mind when I really hear this question about what are the primary difference between a profile and a role. I hope I got that answer correct, Amit.
Yeah, perfect. There's some background noise from my side, that's why I don't want to speak.
Yeah, it's been some time that I've been giving interviews. Anyways, yeah, good things to learn and recall. Yeah, I think that is pretty much it for the session today. Thank you, Purushottam, for all the wonderful demos and the explanation of such critical concepts. Believe me, security is one of the critical concepts when you're trying to learn Salesforce administration or trying to build declarative applications. And Amit, thank you for bringing in some of the pointers which bring essence and add a lot of relevance and significance to this topic. So, and a big thank you to the wonderful audience for being so patient and trying to decipher all the complexities. One thing before I leave, so tomorrow, which is 15th of August, and day after tomorrow. So 15th of August is of course Independence Day, and we're not going to be having any sessions on 15th and 16th. Our next session is going to be on 19th, which is a Monday. So please make sure that for every session you will have to re-register. You have to go and register. So go to the Apex R site and search for the respective session and click the register link within that session's post. So that way you'll be able to register for a session, and make sure that when you are registering, okay, the date is appropriate, is the right date that has been chosen, right? Otherwise you'll get registered for an incorrect session. So just please remember to do that, and we'd love to keep seeing you on all our sessions. So thank you again. Good night, everyone. Stay safe, and I wish you all a very happy Independence Day. Hope to see you back on 19th, which is our next session. Thank you once again. Stay hungry, stay foolish, and keep learning. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Keep learning, and if you have any question, keep posted us on our Twitter and on our website. Definitely we'll help to answer those.